Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to the empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a very important topic that comes to really effectively healing through a relationship with a covert narcissist, a borderline, or a psychopath, someone who has pulled one over on you or a bunch of people, someone who has used a facade, a mask, a persona, a lie to get what they want or present a certain image to get what they want. But it belays a truth or really an insecurity that is deep within that person. In other words, one thing we need to understand about these cluster B personality disorders is these people operate by an attachment disorder. In other words, they're constantly interacting from a facade, a mask, and they're really not, living or in relationships with an empathy dynamic. Because they do not have empathy, or in the state of the psychopath, it's just they have a lack of feelings and a lack of emotional attachment and emotional attunement. They have a really kind of an outer shell with which they are relating to people. Even if it's a job, a family, a spouse, a lover, a sibling, you never get what you see. I mean, they make a lot of false promises, a lot of false statements, things that will make you want to go along with their illusion, their game, their ploy. And it can be oftentimes very alluring or seductive in the love bombing stage. In other words, these people can be quite attractive. They can be quite charming. They can be quite prolific in their speech, or they can be strong and silent, like in the covert narcissist, where they just seem to have a quiet intellect about them. A lot of people find this very comforting. So there's a love bombing or kind of becoming enamored or becoming enthralled with. It's very almost like a trance state where people don't realize, but they are becoming very seduced by this type of individual. And then they can once they're vulnerable to that, they can be subject to a lot of projection. In projection meaning, which I really want to discuss in this video, is when they're able to project a desirable truth onto others, even though it has nothing to do with reality. And oftentimes the projection can be one of false accusations, making you feel that you are in error, that you have done something wrong, that you are inherently flawed, or they do not believe or listen to the words that are coming from your lips. They are not good listeners. They are not good communicators. It's very much like you're communicating through a wall. Their persona, and again, with this personality disorder, the spectrum can run all, there's a whole variety of spectrum, and the intensity and the severity of this disorder in various people, how they present. And I'm not here to diagnose or treat. I'm here to educate and discuss and have rapport with you. And I want you to understand that if you have been or feel like falsely accused, misrepresented, putting words in your mouth, putting lies in your repertoire, making you feel brainwashed through their projection, it is very important for you to take a step back and become an owner of your reality and identify what that projection is, and understand that oftentimes is a way for them to project their inner security. And oftentimes, like they'll always say, one finger pointing out has four pointing back. In other words, what they project onto others, they are actually guilty of. And so they will very quickly try to cover up their shortcomings through projection and making others feel bad, making them weak and vulnerable so that they can't stand up for themselves. The conversation become very convoluted, and oftentimes it's not worth having a conversation with these people because it's just going to fall on deaf ears, and you're not really speaking the same language when you're speaking with someone who has a pathological self-interest and an empathy deficit, or in the state of the psychopath, really no emotional connection to things the way that most people do, and experience things like love or fear or passion. I mean, really all they have is an insatiable need to control others. All they really have is, it's like an alcoholic of power. They get power drunk, power hungry. They will manipulate others to these ends because they delight in this. In fact, oftentimes in the state of the psychopath, and I know we're kind of blurring lines here, but for you to understand, if you've been involved with these, it's important to understand that there are these types of people in the world, and I definitely recommend that kids are educated and protected too, because they are very vulnerable. They can be very green and not know that these types of people are out there. So they always need to have boundaries and standards, so they can have, know that they don't need to be pushed around by a bully, and that they know how to protect themselves, and that this doesn't become a normal feeling for them to become beat up or something. So as we were saying, the projection though is a way for them to kind of masquerade, or a way for them to put you at fault, put you at error, put you so you can't think straight, and you're in that reactive mode. And the covert narcissist and the psychopath, engage in these to various levels, where they're going to project certain lesser qualities onto people and make you feel that you own those when you don't. So it's very important to de-identify and separate yourself from these messages of projection. And oftentimes they will very precisely project onto their supply the errors with which they feel within and are trying to cover up very precisely. So as it might come with your looks or your profession, whatever it is that they project or yell or kind of sabotage you by, those, you can see the outcomes oftentimes are very closely akin to what they are suffering with internally. So you become like a walking representation of their wound. Literally, whether they do this consciously or unconsciously is really not what we're discussing right now, but you will know when you're projected on and made to feel that sort of gaslighting, where you are doubting yourself. Anytime you're excessively doubting yourself, down, can't think clearly, are in the fog, it's because you're so swept up in the charm and in the sort of radiated greatness that this person will push over with. So you need to really look at your physiology. When people are projected on or are in a state of gaslighting, their physiology goes down. In other words, their shoulders are slumped. They are not standing erect. They are not projecting their voice. They are not able to speak clearly. They're not able to delight in their senses. Their senses are kind of severed from working together and cohesively. They're not able to pull in that energy that they need to feel strong because of this projection. It's a defense mechanism that is meant to protect them, but yet it can become an attachment bond where then the supply becomes very used to or habituated to this negative physiology. So when we talk about your physiology, we're talking about how you carry your body, how you breathe, what you attend to, the filter with which you see things. And if you're always in a sort of cowarding down physiology, and kind of always feeling meek, less than, or your body is radiating that, then that's one sure sign, and one important place to fix that, because that vulnerability is oftentimes, it's almost like penetrability that these violators and perpetrators can find people like low-hanging fruit just to pick from and then take advantage of, and buddy with, and then next thing you know, they're sabotaging your job, sabotaging your relationship. You find that they're cheating. You find that they really don't care about you, your health, or they really don't care what's important to you. They don't want to listen. They can't listen. They can't. You cannot have a heart-to-heart conversation with these people. It just does not flow. So, in terms of this projection and this gaslighting, it's very important for you to divide yourself from this projection and enter into that role of metacognition, where you're able to see things as it occurs and not react. It's very important for you to identify that stage of interaction, or even once it's, if you've been around these people, oftentimes your life is then dictated and directed by the projection of of the manipulator. In other words, they've manipulated you into a lower lifestyle. They've manipulated you into feeling inferior, inadequate, that you can't work, that you can think that you're not good enough. They've manipulated you into this small, weak space, and it's very important to realize that you've then learned that, but you can unlearn that. So it's very important to understand that disempowered physiology and stance and how you carry yourself has been learned. So you can unlearn that. So the first thing to do is recognize it and say, whoa, I really do slump around. I really do slash around. I don't carry myself the way that I should, and I don't project my voice the way that I should. I don't stand up and radiate that, personal power, like we talk about the video on YouTube with Amy Cuddy, power poses. The fact that people stand, with their legs, somewhat apart. I mean, showing assertiveness, showing not necessarily dominance, but personal power. It's very important for you to understand the physiology of personal power, and I would definitely recommend those YouTube videos by Amy Cuddy. It's a TED Talk, I believe, that she has, which is very fascinating and very interesting. And it's something I've always believed in, and you can always incorporate this as a tool into your recovery journal when you take a walk. Or I would definitely recommend, as part of your recovery process, is to take a walk and practice that strong physiology. Walking for 15 to 20 minutes. And just, make sure that your breath is deep and you're holding yourself up and you're holding yourself high. And you repeat to yourself every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. And then repeat that again and again, that mantra or something that you like that fits that. I am empowered day by day by day. I'm more empowered day by day by day. I'm more empowered day by day by day. Repeat this again and again, and you'll retrain your neurology, your what oftentimes is embedded in the body as psychosomatic illness or repressed emotions as, kind of corrupting the body. It'll give your body a chance to reset that and get away from that negative programming or that negative projection, which has got you physiologically down. So you have to become very aware that these types of people will engage in this. So it's very important to see and know your reality, your truth, your peace as separate and distinct from this. And not only that, but to recognize that the main key problem with these people is a deficit of empathy, which means they really do not factor into your feelings, your voice, your viewpoint, your interests, who you are, to a very small, diminished degree. So those people are not always right for you to be around, even if they loom larger than life. If we said, they're like a big billboard in your life, all you can see is them. It's time to, squash that down, get it down, to the size of a postage stamp, and just throw that postage stamp behind you and just let it be there and just go on with the bigger picture, which is life, which is waiting to rise to meet you. But you need to recognize kind of some of these manipulation tactics that they use, so you can say, man, I have been a victim or a recipient of that sort of negative projection or gaslighting, and that no longer suits me. That is not the good life. No, thank you. And then you go on and then work on your physiology. Take a moment to do at least a 20-minute walk if you can every day, practicing that stronger physiology and repeating your affirmations. I am strong. I am bold. I am inspiration. I am healthy. I am magnificent. I am empowered. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And repeat these very strong to yourself and take them in a solitary way and really reinforce these, and not to get distracted, but you will begin to then see kind of some very nice, fun things, some new perspective, and you'll begin to reset that filter, which oftentimes is mucked over with fear and projection and all the, malarkey or malarkey that they have dished up. Get that out. Get that out of your body. Get that out of your system. Get it out of your viewfinder. Get it out of your scope. Begin to work on a positive physiology. And even if you begin to do things like even bike riding or some other activity where you're, taking yoga poses and getting empowered, I would highly recommend that you do that and take advantage of any classes in your area or any meetups in your area. Meetup.com oftentimes is a wonderful resource for you to check out. And if you want to work on those outlets, I would highly recommend it for it. You can do it. Make some changes this week. Do it for you. You are what matters. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.